Calling to order the Housing and Human Welfare Committee on Tuesday, April 16 at 6:16 p.m. First item on the agenda is a roll call of members in attendance. Present is myself, Committee Chair, Alderwoman Shanika Henson, and to my right is?
Alderwoman Ellie Tierney, Ward 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tierney. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
In the discussion, I will note that we are taking one of the agenda items out of turn to accommodate the schedule of Ms. Golder. So we will move Ms. Golder's AP 8719 to the beginning of our appointments section of the agenda. Ms. Tierney, is there a motion to approve the agenda with moving Ms. Golder's AP 8719 to the beginning of section 4B?
So moved.
I will second the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is business before the committee. That would be approval of the minutes from our last meeting on March 19, 2019. Alderwoman, did you get an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes, I did, and they are fine. Thank you. They are very good, actually, because we talked about the Eastport sector study. So I motion that we approve the minutes dated March 19th of the standing committee.
Thank you. I would second your motion. It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Appointments and reappointments to committees. On the agenda amenda, we'll start with AP 8719, the appointment of Kayla Simone Golder to the Education Commission. Is Ms. Golder here present? And please state your name for the record. Ms. Golder, we have you on our agenda for appointment to the Education Commission. I'll note that there's a person seated next to you, Alderwoman Finlayson, is present as well. Ms. Golder, we have before us a copy of your resume that was submitted in consideration for the Education Commission. I don't see an application in what we have. Ms. Tierney, do you see an application in addition to the resume?
No, just the cover letter.
Ms. Golder, did someone have you fill out an application as well?
No, ma'am.
So we'll discuss the appointment since you're here tonight, but it may be that it requires an application to be attached as well when it goes before the full council, because the application does ask you questions about your experience and then your interest as well in serving on the Education Commission. So we do have the benefit of the resume, but I will ask, since we have you here, what is your interest in serving on the Annapolis Education Commission?
Well, I'm currently a 9th grade student at Annapolis High School, and I want to make sure that people in my community receive the best education that they can.
Ms. Golder, do you know if you would be representing a particular ward or if you would be an at-large member?
Ward 4 or 5.
And Ms. Golder, because you represent a particular ward, I generally ask the person if they have the support of their alderperson, but I see your alderperson is here. So Ms. Finlayson, does Ms. Golder have your support for nomination to the Education Commission?
Absolutely, she does. And I'd like it to be noted that I try very hard to make sure that the student voice is heard on the Education Commission. So she is the second student that I've appointed to that committee.
Thank you. Ms. Golder, do you have any experience serving on committees or working with groups of people to make decisions?
Yes, I'm a member of the Arundel Bay Area chapter of Jack and Jill, where I've served as the head of the apparel committee for our teen conference. I regularly attend meetings where we discuss how to benefit our community through community service and donations.
I see as well on your resume that your community service includes volunteering for the Sarah's House and Happy Helpers for the homeless. Could you share anything about your experience there?
It was a great experience to see what some people, unlike myself, struggle with on a day-to-day basis and how just doing the small things can make their day.
Excellent. Alderwoman Tierney, did you have any questions for Ms. Golder?
Yes, being a student at Annapolis High School, if you could change one thing, what would that be?
The environment where people learn, because sometimes some certain children can be distracting.
Interesting. Okay. Is that due to overcrowdedness or just discipline?
I think it's some people want certain attention.
Yeah.
Because they don't receive that at home.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Your resume is really impressive, and it's...
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Ms. Golder?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Golder, is there anything else you would like for the good of the order for the committee to know and consider when considering your application?
My schedule is very flexible, and I will be able to attend monthly meetings.
Thank you. Alderwoman Tierney, is there a motion to recommend favorably the appointment of Kayla Simone Golder to the Annapolis Education Commission?
So moved.
I would second the motion. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Golder.
Thank you, Alderwoman Finlayson. Thank you.
Yes. Next on the agenda is AP 5618. That is appointment of Ms. Ida Mae Sims to the Human Relations Commission. Good afternoon, Ms. Sims. How are you?
I am wonderful.
Excellent. Please state your name for the record.
Ida Mae Sims, and that's Sims with one M.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. We have before us your application, Boards and Commissions application for reappointment to the Human Relations Commission here in the city of Annapolis. First, thank you for your service on the Human Relations Commission, and thank you for being willing to serve another term and continue to assist us here in the city of Annapolis.
Oh, okay. Could you press the green, the push button on the mic there for the green light to be on?
Just push.
Push. Is the green light on?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Ms. Sims, your testimony is being recorded and broadcasted on the city TV and on the city's website and the city's Facebook account as well. So for the benefit of the listening audience, your microphone would allow them to hear your responses in addition to everyone here in chambers. Ms. Sims, could you explain to us or give us some insight on what your experience has been like on the Human Relations Commission?
It has been wonderful. As a matter of fact, I wrote a picture of when I first joined the Human Relations Commission, and it was Dean Johnston, and it was 1994.
Oh, wow.
My gosh, so
1994.
24 years ago.
Oh.
Wow.
And I think I just love helping people.
Oh, it's a Polaroid.
So you see, I've been here.
That's amazing. Can you help us understand what your interest is in continuing to serve on the Human Relations Commission?
Well, I love helping people in any way that I can, and that's why I keep coming back until I can get it right.
Thank you. We had the
You're
benefit
welcome.
of having testimony from Mr. Keller, and he was explaining to us some of what the commission does when you all are investigating fair housing complaints where people have been discriminated against in housing. And it certainly sounded like rewarding work to be able to help people who come to you with a complaint to resolve their any issues that they may have. Have you found that you all have been able to have an impact and help people resolve issues here in Annapolis?
I really think that we have made a good impression, and we have helped those who have come to us for help.
Excellent. I also would note for the record that I'm very proud to have you as a member of Ward 6 and to be your older person. So thank you for continuing to serve the city of Annapolis. Ms. Sims, there is included in your application package a statement of compliance with provisions of the Ethics Ordinance City Code, and it cites the city code provision. It states on here that you understand that you would be held to the ethical standards of the city and not engage in any business or transaction where you have a financial interest while you are doing your duties. So not engage the city in a business relationship while you are serving on the Human Relations Commission. Is that something that you would be willing to do?
Yes.
Before you leave today, I'll ask Ms. Green if she can have you sign and date the form here so that we have that to complete your application package, so we have all the pieces we need to forward to the council. Alderwoman Tierney, did you have any questions for Ms. Sims?
Well, I was just going to take advantage of your, 25 years of experience or 24 years of experience on the Human Relations Commission and ask you what your thoughts are as far as, it's somewhat related, but what I would see as the lack of affordability in Annapolis. And do you have any feelings about that either way?
Well, I do, in a way. Things has changed drastically as far as Annapolis is concerned, and I pray that things will get better.
Me too.
Anyone that comes to us, we give them our attention, and of course we want to help them as best we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So things have changed.
Oh, things has changed.
I thank you for your perseverance.
Thank you.
And as you say in your application, until you quote, get it right.
Yes. Well, I just turned 80, so I have a couple more years.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for Ms. Sims or discussion?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Sims, did you have anything else that you would like for us to take into consideration when reviewing and evaluating your application?
No.
Thank you.
I trust you.
Alderwoman, is there a motion to recommend favorably Ms. Ida Mae Sims for reappointment to the Human Relations Commission?
Yes, I make a motion to reappoint Ms. Ida Mae Sims for appointment.
I second the motion. It has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Sims.
Thank you, and
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful day.
You as well.
Does Ms. Peacock? Now, does she want to do that now?
For which one?
For Ida to sign it now?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you get that other one? Do you need a pen?
No.
Oh.
But you can keep those.
Hang on to these? Okay. And Ms. Sims, Ms. Green is going to meet you in the back of the room to have you sign off on the ethics form. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the reappointment of Martha Scott to the Human Relations Commission, ID number AP7919. I'll note for the record that Ms. Scott is not present and in attendance. We will hold her appointment until the next calendar. Alderwoman Tierney, is there a motion to postpone the reappointment of Ms. Scott until we have Ms. Scott here?
Yes, I make a motion to postpone this to our next meeting. Yes. So moved.
Second the motion. It's been properly moved in second. All in favor of postponing Ms. Scott's reappointment signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will postpone. Next agenda item is the reappointment of Teresa Vaughn Bond to the Housing and Community Development Committee. Is Ms. Bond present and in attendance? Ms. Bond, please join us there at the table. How are you?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Excellent. Please state your name for the record.
Teresa Von Adeling Bond.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. Ms. Bond, did they have you complete, did Ms. Wellman have you complete an application as well?
No.
We have in front of us your resume, and then it may be that there's follow-up where someone has you complete an application too, so that the responses are there for the full council to have the benefit of seeing them. Myself and Alderwoman Tierney, have the benefit of having worked with you personally, both being members of the Housing and Community Development Committee. And I know that I speak for the three of us, Alderman Rodriguez as well. We thank you for your commitment to the committee and for your valued advice and the discussion that you give us, helping us to work towards solutions, helping us to have deeper and better insight when we're discussing the housing challenges here in the city of Annapolis. I know that I've benefited from having your voice on the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my first question would be, what is the nature of your interest in being reappointed to the Housing and Community Development Committee?
Well, it's interesting because I'm retired now. So my only hand in planning and especially community development is the committee now. And it's lovely to be part of the city that I've lived in for longer than I want to tell you. And to know the nonprofits and the services and what's going on and be part of that. So, I mean, as you can see my resume, community development, community involvement was a big part of what I did, and I'm really lucky to be able to continue because I've been on a long time, but I'm glad no one's kicked me off yet, to continue that work, but in a different way, in a voluntary way now.
Thank you. I see that you have a wealth of experience there with the Prince George's County Planning Department. How do you feel that experience with the Prince George's County Planning Department has helped you with your service to the Housing and Community Development Committee here in Annapolis?
Well, that's what I've learned, where I've learned a lot about affordable housing, moderately priced dwelling units, how the system works, how it doesn't work, and the importance of the nonprofit sector involvement in providing services. Because government can only do so much, and they have limited funding, so it's tapping into that nonprofit sector and grants and other ways to get things done. So I think that Prince George has helped me and understand the way government works too. I worked a lot with agencies as well, so I learned a lot there, and I'm hoping to share what I've learned with you all continued.
Thank you. Alderwoman Tierney, did you have any questions for Ms. Bond?
I had no idea. I mean, it's kind of, it's like me in 30 years of planning. I mean,
an old planner.
well, so that's a big part. You've probably learned, you know, now we're struggling with that now with the, you know, form-based zoning versus, you know, that. So all the new concepts. Yeah. And we'll soon have an opening as for our director of planning and zoning. If you.
No. I like this job. But thank you.
Some say we're a difficult city to work for. I don't know. But I just value your expertise. I mean, I know that Prince George, you know, living in D.C. for a long time, that they've, you know, worked really hard as far as, you know, accommodating because of what happened. As you know, I believe that D.C. went through stages, and a lot of people moved to Prince George County, and you were not prepared for that, and probably had to do a lot of adaptation. But again, I welcome you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bond, is there anything else that you would like the committee to consider when considering your application for reappointment?
I don't think so. I think you work with me, you know kind of how I feel, and I appreciate you all including me in the conversation, because I've been with the committee for a long time, and there have been times where the community really wasn't a voice that was heard, and it's nice to be an equal partner. It's very nice. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman, is there any further discussion on Ms. Bond's reappointment to the Housing and Community Development Committee?
No. Oh, you know, you should know that we are this close to getting a draft of our MPDU
That's
legislation.
Great. That's really good.
Yeah.
And I'm just impressed with your activity and your movement getting things done. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
Anyways, would you like to make?
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Teresa to the committee. I want to make sure I have the right to the Housing and Community Development Committee reappointment.
I second the motion. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next meeting.
Next on our agenda is the appointment of Nancy Lisbon to the Housing and Community Development Committee, item AP 8119. Ms. Lisbon, if you'll join us at the table. 81. 87, I have Ms. Golder. 81, I have Ms. Lisbon.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
It's actually Libson.
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 L-I-B, and it is spelled incorrectly.
LISB.
It's spelled incorrectly on a couple of them. Okay. We thank you for the programming note.
Oh,
We
you
will be
probably
sure
get
to
that a lot.
update that.
Thank you.
Ms. Green?
I'm used to that
Yeah.
after a long time.
Yes. I'll just. So we have you on our agenda for appointment to the Housing and Community Development Committee. I'm not sure what Ms. Wellman was able to share, but a little background is that the Housing and Community Development Committee kind of overlaps with the Housing and Human Welfare Committee. So there are 7 standing committees that are collected of just older persons here in the city. And there are several committees that are more like commissions here in the city of Annapolis that have a collection of older persons and then also members from the community. The Housing and Community Development Committee has older persons, myself, Alderwoman Tierney, Alderman Rodriguez, who could not be here tonight, and then it has members from the community as well. So we don't review legislation in the Community Development Committee, but we do distribute the Community Development Block Grants through that committee. We do discuss policy, things that could result in legislation, but we get the benefit of the collective expertise from the civilian members and then the older person members to discuss how we might want to make changes in the city to be more affordable housing friendly, or to make sure that we are being careful stewards of the housing stock that's here in the city of Annapolis. So sometimes it's just a robust discussion that is the most value that we get from the committee. But it is a great group that I know that I've benefited from having the expertise at the table with.
Teresa had told me about the committee a while back, and so I was pleasantly surprised a month or so ago when I was called in about it. So I was pleased. I'm very glad to be able to do this if you nominate me, and I think I should add something to the.
You press the green, press the push button so the green light is on. There you go.
It was green, though. It just wasn't lit up.
So, Ms. Libson, I will ask if you could explain to us what your interest is in serving on the Housing and Community Development Committee.
Well, I've been retired for about 5.5 years now, and I just want to keep my hand in the whole affordable housing, community development world. You know, after 40-some years of going to work every day and working on affordable housing and community development, it was sort of like I took a year and decompressed, and then really did want to get back involved in housing community development work. I stayed a member of a couple of different groups in Washington that I was working with when I was there, when I was working in Washington, and stayed in touch with a lot of my old colleagues. And so I just think this is a good way to share some of my background and my expertise with the city of Annapolis. I've lived here since 1987 and actually served on the board of ACDS. So I've known about the work that ACDS and the city of Annapolis have done together, and I've known Teresa for quite some time, and I think this is probably a good way to get back involved in housing community development and to share some of my knowledge and thoughts about affordable housing community development.
Thank you. I did take a particular interest in your service to ACDS, and then also your prior work with legislative initiatives with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and how that might be a real value add to our discussions on the committee. What I was not as familiar with was Leading Age. Could you explain to us a little about that?
Leading Age is a national nonprofit. It represents all the nonprofit providers of housing and services for seniors. So it means affordable housing, which is what I worked on primarily, but nursing homes, CCRCs, which continuing care communities like Ginger Cove, if you know that one. It was a member of Leading Age. And home and community-based services, so all the range of services and housing for seniors. It's a membership organization, and there are 38, I think, state organizations, including one in Maryland. And then Leading Age in Washington is the national organization.
Thank you. That definitely sounds like an area of expertise that I'm not sure that any of us have a particular area expertise in, so that sounds like it could be very valuable to our discussions and decision-making on the committee. Because
I know Annapolis does have a good retirement population and a growing retirement population. So I do think that my knowledge and expertise in that area will be helpful, and I'm glad to be able to share it. Thank you. I've also noticed that, as is our older woman Tierney, an alumnus of the STAIR tutoring program, that you have the STAIR experience on your resume. Could you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like? I'm still doing it. In fact, I left STAIR today to come here. It's a terrific experience. It really is. The kids are wonderful. You have a range of kids. This is my 4th year, I believe, of tutoring, and I do it at Robinwood, which is right down the street from my house. So I find it exciting to see some of the kids. Spring, it's a little more difficult, but see the kids be really interested in trying to learn to read better and to comprehend what they're reading, and to be able to help them through some of the things they're going through in school. That's excellent. Robinwood is a community that I represent. I have the pleasure of being their older person. I certainly understand how a person coming in to help unlock reading and to make that a process that's easier for students could be a real game changer for some of the kids that you interact with. So thank you on behalf of them all for your time and your service there to the community. Alderwoman Tierney, did you have any questions for Ms. Lipson?
I was just curious on your experience with HUD. Was it during a difficult time? I guess you don't have to mention the administration, but
no, it was actually during a good time. It was the Clinton administration, and I worked for Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, wow.
He had asked me to come over there because I had been working on Capitol Hill for the Banking Committee, Housing Subcommittee, which did all the legislation, wrote all the legislation. The last time they actually did a real affordable housing bill and community development bill in 1990 and 92. That's the last time they've done a comprehensive bill.
Wow.
And so I worked on that, and then in 1998, I believe, I went over to HUD because Andrew had asked me to do it.
Yeah.
So no, it was a good time. To be working because they actually did something then.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think my colleague knows this about me, but I had an internship at HUD in college because I went to school in engineering, and so it was at HUD, and it was during the Clinton and it was during the oh God, how long ago was that? Carter. It was actually Carter. I think it was the Urban Development Action Grants we worked on.
UDAGs, yes.
UDAGs. Yes. And for the summer, and then when we went back to school, and so it had to be Carter because it was 1980, and then they were discontinued. They stopped. Boom, budget cut when Reagan came in.
Wow.
But I that was an incredible experience working for HUD and the good stuff that they're capable of,
They have been in the past capable of a lot of good stuff.
I know. That's why we hear your experience will be very, very valuable because we're like this with, budget coming in and what do we plan for, and so that perspective is welcomed. So I'm glad that we were able to tap you out of retirement.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Lipson, is there anything, Lipson, I had that correct.
Right, you
Is
did.
there anything else you would like for the committee to take into consideration when evaluating your application?
No, I don't think so. I think I shared what I needed to share.
Thank you.
What ward do you live in? I don't know that address.
5.
That's 5,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a shame.
Mark, yeah.
Yeah, it's Mark's ward.
It's the end of the
Right.
semester for him, so he is, he's a third-year law student.
Right,
and
I
so
know.
he is in crunch time with getting all the pieces in order for the end of his semester. So we regret that he couldn't be here, but he will see a lot of you because on the committee, we do work very closely together.
Oh, good.
The older persons and the members from the community.
Yeah, I met Mark when he was first running because it turned out he went to school with my nephew. So I met him then. It's hard to believe that now I'll be working with him, and he went to school with my nephew. Makes me feel very old, but
Or maybe he's old, right? That's what that means. Excellent. Is there any further discussion on Ms. Lipson's application?
No, there isn't. Nope.
Seeing no further discussion, is there a motion to recommend favorably Ms. Lipson for appointment to the Housing and Community Development Committee?
So moved.
I'd second the motion. It's been properly moved in second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Lipson, you should be hearing from Ms. Wellman with the calendar invite so that we can, once the council approves the recommendation, so that we can get you on the calendar and to our meetings.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to working together.
I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
That completes our appointment section on the agenda. Our next ID item is ID number 44719, Development Update, Planning and Zoning. Ms. Green, do you know if we should anticipate any members from the Planning and Zoning Department being in attendance?
No, usually I don't have to say anything. It's just based on when I send out the agendas.
Okay, thank you.
Does he usually highlight his changes in?
He does.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
The rubric that we have attached to the agenda is current up to March 29, 2019. So it's not necessarily to the minute, but it is refreshed from the last time that we had the opportunity to review it. Director Gutwald is usually diligent to highlight any changes. I note several things are noted in red, and then there are some highlights to the forest conservation status of at least a handful of projects that are on here. I believe that is the purview of the Environmental Matters Committee.
Which will be tomorrow.
Which will be tomorrow. We have a particular interest in the MPDU required versus the MPDU built section of the rubric. I see that item of particular interest to me was the Central Park development because it is in Ward 6. Central Park would have had 5 MPDUs if they had elected to build them, but instead they are doing the fee in lieu, as it's my understanding that they did not reach base density, so they didn't go forward with doing any MPDU units to qualify for a density bonus there. Also, I would note that there are several projects that are still under revision where the MPDU amounts are yet to be determined, like the Parole Place project, where they have submitted revisions that have then recalculated the figures there for density. So we are not yet able to get an understanding of what, if any, MPDUs may be yielded from that particular development. Alderwoman Tierney, did you have any discussion items or any things to note for the record?
To your point, I was curious about Parole Place because it looks like there's an opportunity there, but I don't know even what the time frame is. So I'd be curious to hear what the. Seems like they've just what is the latest read. March 29th is the forest. I guess we'll hear tomorrow on environmental.
It would be good to know. They have 90 residential units over retail and then 68 townhomes. That could be a significant number of MPDUs if they do provide what's currently required in the code. I'm not sure if it's all for sale units or if it's a mix of rental and for sale, but in any event, it could be a significant amount.
Agreed.
So I know we'll be particularly interested in the outcome there. Is there anything else for discussion or any questions that we might want to forward to the Planning and Zoning Department for follow-up? I don't see any additional questions that I have at this time.
No, it's pretty self-explanatory, so no, Madam Chair.
I agree. Having reviewed the ID number 44719, the March 2019 Planning and Zoning update, if there's nothing else for discussion, I will conclude that agenda item and move forward.
So, so moved.
Excellent. Next is legislation before the committee. We do not have any pending legislation before the committee. We did make revisions to or propose amendments to the Forest Drive sector study. I did ask for those amendments that are now in draft form to come back to the committee for review, because the legislation with the resolution that it was attached to was withdrawn. I will have to consult with Ms. Green to see what's the appropriate ID item number to get those draft study amendments back before the committee, so that we can go over them, just to make sure that the format that they're in is user friendly, and to make sure that they really meet the goal of what we had in mind when we asked for those particular amendments, so that whatever form the sector study takes in the future, if it's that we forward our amendments to rules and city governance, so that they may be the repository of that and kind of shape and mold it for a public platform, that we get those back before us so that we have an opportunity to review them. So as chair, I will be diligent on making sure we do get those back to us, as it was the result of a lot of hard work going through the study and really pulling out the ways that we could to make the housing end of it better.
Have you received anything from Dr. Nash, Takia?
No. I mean, besides your amendments.
I did. Dr. Nash sent me an email that had the amendments in draft form, and I think I may have forwarded them, and then, but I believe that I was forwarding them to attach to it when it returned to us as legislation.
We've had discussion about it, so I believe that I am going to attach it to the ID.
To the ID.
Which is 41619, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
And that way it'll travel with it. Right now, what's attached is the actual draft study, and then the rules and city government.
The path forward.
Yes.
Yeah, which I don't know if everyone has seen and agreed to.
I watched the live stream of the meeting, and Alderman Savage was kind enough to kind of shoot out an email, get it down into some written format. Yeah. But I have not yet had the benefit of reviewing what the new procedure will be on it. But I welcome that there is a procedure, so that we do have a vehicle for making amendments to it and keeping the hard work that was done on the document in a format that we can continue to work it to a way that will be workable for the public.
Yeah.
So that was encouraging.
But like I said, if you go to the ID, it is connected to it, and then I'll be connecting your amendments. And it was just kind of confusing because I didn't know whether or not to connect it to it, because your amendments really were for R45. Yeah, so that was the confusion.
Yeah, it's hard now because if it's an ID, we don't have the resolution language to amend, but maybe is it appropriate to talk about it at the work session under the comp plan agenda, because it does tie into that. I mean, it does tie into it. Yeah,
I'm sure they will touch on it.
I mean, somehow it does have to come back in as a resolution, and even if it's the resolution itself is worded to bring it forward as amended to the comp plan, or I think.
I would support that, including that in the dialogue, because I think that the new way forward may be as an amendment to the new comp plan, not the existing comp plan.
Right.
So if that's the path forward, it does give us a little bit more time and an ability to kind of work that through to some final document that's agreeable.
And I think we should put a time frame on it. Definitely put a time frame on it. You know, we don't want this to be concurrent with the comp plan. This is something that should be done before the comp plan.
Absolutely, out of respect for staff's time that is working on drafting amendments and still working the sector study.
Yeah.
And then it's my understanding the comp plan is being done in-house this year. So it will be important to make sure that they're relieved so that they can move forward to the next planning document. So I agree with that. So I will, Ms. Green, do I need to do anything in follow-up to ask that those be attached?
No.
Okay.
I'll do it. And
Thank
you
you.
want it on your agenda for next month?
Yes. Thank you. We'll look forward to reviewing those again as a committee. And seeing that there's no legislation before the committee, I believe we have completed the agenda.
Yes, we have.
Is there anything else for the good of the order?
No, I think that's it. I motion that we adjourn, Madam Chair.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.